Beyond the gleaming facade of Pyongyang, there is a completely different North Korea, where millions of people live in conditions that differ starkly from the reality of the capital. Provincial towns and villages are immersed in an atmosphere frozen in time, where electricity is absent for most of the day and the roads are broken dirt tracks. Life outside the capital follows the laws of survival, where each day becomes a struggle for the bare necessities, from food to elementary domestic conveniences. The residency registration system divides citizens into categories, and provincial residents are categorically forbidden to move to Pyongyang without a special permit, which is practically impossible for an ordinary person to obtain. The contrast between the capital and the rest of the country is so great that foreigners who visit only Pyongyang have no real idea how the overwhelming majority of the North Korean population actually lives. A typical provincial village consists of single-story houses with clay or brick walls, roofs covered with tiles or slate that still date back to the period of Japanese occupation in the first half of the 20th century. Inside such houses there is minimal furniture. People sleep on thin mattresses on the floor, which are rolled up and stored in a cupboard in the morning to free up space for daytime family life. Heating is provided by the traditional on-dole system, where hot air from a stove circulates under the floor, but fuel is catastrophically scarce, especially in the harsh winter months. Electricity is supplied for only a few hours a day, usually in the evening from 6 to 9, and even then not every day, depending on the operation of the local power station and the condition of the networks. Most houses have no running water. Water is carried in buckets from wells or the nearest river, taking up a significant portion of people's time and physical strength every day. Outdoor toilets are located in the yard. There is no sewage system, and waste is used as fertilizer for vegetable plots, creating unsanitary conditions and spreading infectious diseases among the population. People have to wash in cold water for most of the year. Hot water is heated on the stove in large cauldrons only on special occasions or when someone is seriously ill. Even the wealthiest provincial families have no washing machines. Everyone washes by hand in basins or on the riverbank, using homemade soap made from wood ash. Clothing is passed down from generation to generation and patched until it falls apart. New items are bought very rarely on illegal markets or are sewn at home. Footwear is a particular problem in winter. Many wear homemade shoes made from old car tires or fabric stuffed with straw for insulation on freezing days. Agriculture remains the main occupation of the provincial population, but methods of working the land are stuck in the middle of the last century due to a lack of modern machinery and industrial fertilizers. Tractors and combines are catastrophically scarce. Most are broken and beyond repair because spare parts are unavailable, so plowing is often done with oxen or even by hand. Chemical fertilizers are virtually unavailable. Only manure and compost are used, which sharply reduces yields and makes agriculture ineffective by modern global standards. Rice paddies require constant irrigation, but irrigation systems are destroyed and have not been repaired for decades. Water must be carried by hand or channeled via primitive ditches from rivers. The state takes the larger part of the harvest as compulsory deliveries, leaving peasants a minimum for their own subsistence, which makes their situation extremely hard year-round. Education in the provinces exists in name. Schools operate, but the quality of teaching is incomparable to the Pyongyang level. Textbooks are lacking and worn out by several generations of pupils. Teachers receive meager salaries that are often delayed for months, so they are forced to work in the fields or trade to feed their own families and survive. There is no heating in schools in winter. Children sit in outer clothing trying to keep warm, and lessons are often canceled because it is impossible to stay in the frozen rooms. Instead of normal classes, pupils are regularly sent for forced labor in the fields, on construction sites, or to collect scrap metal, ostensibly as help for the country and the party. Higher education is practically unattainable for provincial youth. Only the children of party officials or those who pay large bribes to admissions committees can enter university. Transport links between provincial settlements are extremely poor. The roads are in a terrible state. Most are not even paved and are rutted dirt. Ordinary citizens have no private cars. They move on foot, by bicycle, or at best by carts drawn by oxen, covering long distances. Bus services exist, but the buses are old, constantly break down, and run irregularly. They are often so overcrowded that people hang on the outside footboards. Trains run between major cities, but the carriages are in dreadful technical condition. Without heating in winter and without ventilation in summer, making journeys a real ordeal for passengers. Travel between provinces requires special permits from the authorities, which are issued reluctantly as every movement of citizens across the closed country is controlled. Ideological training in the provinces is as intense as in the capital. Mandatory meetings are held every week to study the leaders' ideas and the party decisions of recent plenums. Propaganda claims that life in the country is wonderful and constantly improving, although people see the opposite with their own eyes every day in the streets of their hometowns. For criticizing the regime or uttering an imprudent word, one can be sent to a camp together with the whole family for 3 generations back and forward under the notorious principle of collective responsibility. Portraits of the leaders hang in every home. They must be wiped daily with a special cloth, and inspections by zealous party activists in the villages monitor this obsessively. Radio receivers are installed in every home and cannot be turned off. They broadcast propaganda programs around the clock, songs about the leaders and the victories of the socialist system over its enemies. Life in the North Korean provinces is a daily struggle for survival under conditions of total poverty, isolation from the outside world, and the harshest political control by the repressive apparatus. Millions of people continue to exist in these incredibly harsh conditions, deprived of basic rights and freedoms, with no possibility to change their fate or leave in search of a better life.